about you is if you have ambition to be great, my job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. Tonight we got a special treat for you. It's Fin Too Deep in the Finish line, combining like Voltron for the 2022 NFL schedule release. As I'm joined by Neal Driscoll, the legendary Richmond Webb, the Triple OG, Mr. BallGame. Guys, we already know some of the dates that are out. Twitter's been a wild place. It's turning into the wild, wild west again over OTA throws. It's just such a ridiculous week, but it's kind of like Christmas Day for a lot of us. We know who our opponents were, the road games and the away games, but now we get dates. We get to start solidifying. I mean, we're talking about dates backstage and making plans. Boys, how are y'all feeling on the basically minutes away from finding out exactly when, where the Dolphins will be playing this year and how many primetime games they're going to get?
I guess I'll start it off.
There you go.
Yeah. Wonder Twin Powers activate. Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing? Man, I'm good. I'm just waiting. To me, it don't matter. You got to line up and play them. It doesn't matter week in, week out. As long as it's not, maybe like 3 road games in a row, whatever. Other than that, I can deal with it. I feel good about this team, offense, defense, everything. So I'm just ready to see it all come together on the football field. So I'm just looking forward. It doesn't matter who we play. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm good. Neal, BallGame. I guess I'll let y'all have it now.
By the way, breaking news, the Dolphins will host the Pittsburgh Steelers for Sunday Night Football on October 23rd. I call it the Tua Tagovailoa revenge game and the downfall of Brian Flores. Go ahead, Neal.
Oh, I just figured out one game that I'm going to be going to this year because that's going to be an exciting game. The Minkah Fitzpatrick revenge game too, right? We have some bad blood, obviously, with him leaving the team, but the schedule looks fun from what I've seen so far. I mean, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, hosting the Packers on Christmas Day. Always fun. Get one of those Miami Dolphin team Christmas hats that I'll wear around the house and open gifts and watch the Dolphins beat down Aaron Rodgers, hopefully. A New Year's game. I guess we see 2 primetime games. It sounds like a Thursday nighter against the Bengals and hosting a Sunday nighter against the Steelers. It's been a while, right, since we've hosted a Sunday nighter. I'm a big fan of Sunday Night Football. I even prefer it to Monday Night Football, to be honest. So I'm really excited. It looks like 2 primetime, couple holiday games, and starting the season at home against the Patriots, which is a great matchup for us.
I think when you got buzz that comes out, and it's been a long time having it hit you in the face and be around the team that you love, it's always exciting. Who we playing doesn't necessarily matter to me because you got to go line up and do your best regardless. But at the same time, it's good to be featured on a lot of these primetime slots where everybody's kicking back, winding down, relaxing over the weekend. Sunday night, I'm with you, Neal. I love Sunday Night Football. I definitely hate trying to have to rush home after working on Monday to try to settle in and watch a game. But on Sundays, it just feels right. It feels more in line with, the way to set your week off, get your team a good win on Sundays and then go from there. But we got to do work regardless. So, like I said, the opponents don't matter, but it's good to know that the buzz around the team has got them putting us in some crucial and key spots. So I think I like that. That's good.
And what's good is like on Sundays you can do your thing with your family. You can watch some football if you got some time on your hands, and then at least for me, the kids are in bed by 8:20, and it's time to crack them. And it's time to start watching. You know what I mean? I can't. That's gonna be an awesome thing. And I wanted to say this too. And I know we'll see it once the schedule is like actually released and we post it up here. But the Bengals game, the word is right now week 4 on Thursday Night Football, right? Guys, the crazy thing about that to me is it's early, and I posed the question: why can't we be the Bengals this year? Not in the sense of the Super Bowl run, but in the sense of the leap that Burrow took when they put all the pieces around him, our Jamar Chase was Tyreek Hill, right? Except he's a better version of Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase allowed T. Higgins to become one of the better number 2s in the league and Tyler Boyd to become arguably the best number 3 in the league. Jalen Waddle is probably going to be the best number 2 in the league this year. Let's call it what it is. And Cedric Wilson has all the capability to be one of the best number 3s in the league. He did it buried on a depth chart. Every time someone got injured, he just bumped up and made things happen. You look at the run game. Sure, we don't have Joe Mixon, but guys, we added Sony Michel this week, and if he stays healthy along with Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, we can get collectively Joe Mixon-like production from them. You look at last year, they added Riley Reif. They drafted Jackson Carman, for example. We brought in Connor Williams, Terron Armstead. We've made the same types of upgrades, but we've made them to a better level, I think. I mean, we've added 2 guys on Hall of Fame trajectories in Tyreek Hill and Terron Armstead. Terron Armstead's the best left tackle we've had in Aqua and Orange since the man 2 spots below me right now, rocking the salt and pepper like no one in the world can. All right. So like this, when you sit there, I think this is a really good gauge, and it's going to be on prime time, boys. It's going to be on prime time against Burrow and the Bengals. And I ask you guys this, why can't we be the Bengals? And do you guys look at that game as like a really good gauge of where we're at? Because I mean, they're coming off a Super Bowl appearance.
Well, I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think because when they were in college, if Tua hadn't got hurt, he'd have been first dude off the block anyway as a quarterback. I think Burrow went to a unique situation in Cincinnati where they were primed and ready with a lot of good selections to put pieces around him, and you know what I'm saying, he was an older guy.
They made smarter moves. They made
very smarter moves. But in the same sense, we're now on the cusp of being able to see, I think, an even more mature and healthier version of Tua Tagovailoa. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, if I'm on the other side of that and I got to try to figure out how to defend the Dolphins in particular now they got a healthy quarterback with a chip on his shoulder, with weapons around him, that's scary. You see what I'm saying? So for me, the leap is a little different. I think it's going to be even more astronomical, and teams will have to play catch up because what we can field in terms of speed practices on offense, no one really has the ability to match up at every position against what we go. So there's mismatches all over the field. And this kid has proven, even when he hasn't even been at his healthiest, that he can find and put the ball in spaces where only the wide receivers can get it. That in itself is a phenomenal situation to be in for this team. So yeah, I think we can definitely do what the Bengals did, and I believe we can do a little more, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, you, Richmond. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add on to that. I think what I really like about it is the amount of primetime games we're actually getting this year, and we're getting one early, and to go against a team like the Steelers, this and that, and if we can come out with a convincing win, and it actually gives not just Dolphin fans, but people that are NFL fans to get an opportunity to look at the Dolphins. If we put it together like we expect and the players play the way we expect, I think that's going to change a lot of people's mind, or people going to say, hey, this is not the same Miami Dolphin team. You got to be ready to play. And I think people know about our defense, but with the upgrades and stuff, we made in different positions, the running back position, all the talent we added at the wide receiver position and stuff. I think we can be a force to reckon with, especially with Coach McDaniel and the way he runs his offense and stuff. So I'm really excited to see this. And like you said, with quarterback, everybody healthy, if we keep everybody healthy, I think it's going to be a lot of people jump the bandwagon, and it's going to a lot of people be like, man, the Dolphins are for real this year. And it's
I got receipts, though.
Yeah.
I think you guys are right. I think receipt season's coming, and I think Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the guy where the whole narrative on him switches this year. And I think it's a big deal that he has Joe Burrow on prime time. Tua's career at Alabama started with his back against the wall, and the guy became a superstar overnight, right? His back's against the wall this year. The Dolphins kept their draft pick as security if Tua doesn't pan out. He knows what he has in front of him. And the guy's a smart kid. He's putting out the work. His body looks healthy. He looks as healthy as he's ever been in Miami for sure.
Big man.
I'm betting on Tua Tagovailoa. Big O had Reason and I on his draft show a couple weeks ago, and I made one of the most bold claims I think I've made in a long time, where I said I think Tua Tagovailoa is a dark horse MVP candidate because he's on nobody's radar. And if we remember a few years back, Lamar Jackson was on no one's radar. The system worked. It fit him really well. His strengths were kind of optimized, and then he became the MVP and one of the better quarterbacks in football. The Dolphins had a plan, right? Tyreek Hill. I mean, I was doing mock drafts, happy to get Jahan Dotson at pick 29, but we went out and got Tyreek Hill, one of the biggest difference makers we've seen in a decade plus. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame receiver. He's a game changer. He's the best player on this football team, hands down. And I have big expectations. I think get in the dance. That's what the Bengals did. They got in the dance and they played their best football. They caught teams by surprise. If we stay healthy, the talent on this team, they're going to be well better coached. There's one move I want them to make, and that's go out and sign J.C. Treader. And then their line will be complete. But we haven't even mentioned that they just signed Sonny Michel, who I think is probably their best running back on their roster.
We're going to talk about Michel.
Well, I mean, I echo everyone's sentiment.
The schedule's out.
Yeah, it's out, and I love it. And
so let's do this. Okay, so they released this video, and then I'm going to put the schedule up for everyone to see. Okay, this is how they released the schedule. We actually had a creative PR team this year, so this is the video they put together. Let me play it for y'all, and then we'll put the little tribute to our schedule this year. It's about time instead of last year. I remember last year everyone was releasing these cool little videos of how they drop theirs, and we're out here just dropping an image for everyone. And here's your full schedule this year. So they're gonna start off obviously at home against the Patriots. I mean, guys, this first 4 weeks, holy, at home against the Patriots, on the road against the Ravens,
I love
then
it.
At home against the Bills, and then on the road for Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. You know what that means?
I mean, what does this
You know what that means? That means that this defense gets to go out and prove once again that they got everything it takes to go out and hold this team down until this offense gets right if they need a little time. And I believe that each one of these matchups, we are primed and built to be able to go in and defensively stifle what they put out on the field. That's going to be these are going to be games exclusively for the defense to say, you know what, we got you until you're ready.
And I mean,
look at how I want to argue, Neal. You said Tyreek's the best player, but I think Xavier Howard would fight you for that saying that. You know what I mean? Hold on. Is he muted?
I said I'm glad that Xavier finally has some competition at the top, right?
There we go.
It's been a while since he had some competition.
We go.
You know, the game that in those first four that get my attention is Baltimore, because we embarrassed them on Thursday Night Football last year. They're going to be a little bit healthier. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and we're going to their house. So that's a game I think we just, we got to be prepared for, because the history shows that once you punch the Ravens in the face, they do like to punch back. Now they're definitely going to. I mean, they traded their best offensive weapon in Hollywood Brown, and I don't know what their it's going to look like for that. But that's a tough stretch. But after that, man, the schedule gets beautiful to me. I think like that honestly, 6 of those next 7 games are just
the toughest thing for me, Neal, is how the schedule ends when 4 of your last 6 are on the road.
7.
That's gonna be like, especially if you're trying to make a playoff push.
But
I
here's the
mean-
cool thing, right? Reason they're playing in San Francisco, then the Chargers, so they can stay out on the West Coast, right? So they don't have to go back and forth.
Yeah.
The 49ers to me don't scare me at all, man. I think Trey Lance.
No.
Uphill battle. You
No.
go on the road. One thing about the Dolphins, though, man, they got this swagger to them.
That last stretch is tough, bro. Again,
tough.
Chargers, then division rival. You got to go to Buffalo in December. Then you got the Packers at home, and they're going to be making their usual looking good before they choke in the playoffs push. And then you got the Patriots on the road in New England on New Year's Day. And then, again, I think we'll beat the Jets. But even when you beat up on the Jets, they're still a division rival and still a tough game normally. You know what I mean? So, where they need to make the most of this, I'm going to tell you right now, from the Jets to the San Francisco game, you need to be lights out. That's where you need, because I'm going to tell you right now, the key to winning 12 games is what? Win the games you're a favorite in.
Win the game you're supposed to win.
Split the games where you're an underdog.
Yeah.
And so if you come out of this first 4 2-2, I mean, the Jets favorite. I like us against the I see nothing but until the maybe Browns us being a favorite.
Is Watson even going to play in that game?
Exactly, right? And if he's not playing, then we got Jacoby, Jabroni Brisket. Then I mean, that's you could literally come out of that 2-2 and rifle off 6 games, and you're sitting there. Now you're on the back half of your schedule where it's like, okay, we're feeling ourselves and we're gonna get into the tough spot, but you got to make the most of that chunk from the Jets to the Browns, I think, or from the Jets to the San Francisco 49ers, let's say.
Yeah, I agree with your reason. I think, and that was the difference last year. We went on that 7-game stretch or whatever where we won the games. It was just early on. We lost a couple of games that
we should have won. Yeah,
Jacksonville, Atlanta. You win those 2 games, we're in the playoffs. So,
right.
Well, let's be realistic, Richmond. If we had 2, we'd probably beat the Colts and we'd probably beat the Raiders too.
And that's what when we all kind of echo the same sentiment is being healthy. I mean, I don't think people don't sometimes realize is keeping your guys that you truly need to be ready every week, week in, week out. And if you lose a couple guys at positions that really can affect your production, offense or defensive, you got to try to make adjustments and stuff. So the key is, like we all said, is just keeping everybody healthy. But
there's quality depth throughout the roster, though, at this point now. So everybody, with somebody go down, you got somebody to step right in, man. This roster hasn't looked this complete in a long time on both sides of the ball, man.
Okay, I wanted to ask you guys this because I posed this question. Perfect 3 minds. I'd love to get your opinions of. Is this the best roster since the Marino era? The most comparable roster I could find really was that 03 roster with like Sammy Knight, Brock Marion, Surtain, Madison, and then we had Seau, Greenwood, and Zach Thomas, and then up front you had like Bowens and Taylor. But then you look at the offense, like, once you got past, Chambers and McMichael,
Ricky.
Ricky was the only superstar, you know what I mean? So, once you got past that, you're like, the O-line, Nails and all those guys and Wade and stuff, they're all pretty good. But like, you look at this right now, like, is this the best team on paper since the Marino era? I think like it's better than the 2008 team because I think Tua's got a higher ceiling than Pennington, and our number 1 receiver that year is Greg Camarillo. So, I mean, if it wasn't for the Wildcat, are we a playoff team that year? Let's all be honest with ourselves right now. That's why I think Ronnie Brown deserves more credit than he's given for. Everyone gives it to Pennington. But hold up. Ronnie Brown was the cog that ran that Wildcat, and the Wildcat's why we were a playoff team. But I digress. Is it better than the 2016 team? What do you guys think?
I think it's easy to make that assumption, but and I think the reason it's so easy.
I'm talking about on paper.
Well, no. You can talk about on paper or off paper, but if you got to go back to 2003 to make a comparison, and 2022, that's
definitely the best roster.
When you got to go there, everybody gonna say, "Oh hell yeah, this is the best we've had since then." It's like because they don't want to remember. It's too much pain every time you got to go
I
back.
know.
Oh yeah, back in 12. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Oh, you got for you to do the research and just say, okay, 2003 or 2022, you saved a lot of pain off of Dolphin fans. So I would say easily, yeah, this is whether you want to look at it on paper or not. The talent, like you said, we got defensively, and then all the weapons we added on offense and stuff like that. It's not even hard. Yeah, I just say, yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Neal. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that you're right. I mean, if you're going back 19 years to look, I mean, I don't think this defense is better than that defense, to be honest, with Zach.
Yeah, the second level is clearly better over there, right? I think our secondary is better, though. Sorry.
But what's exciting is how young this team is. Like, this is going to be the roster for the foreseeable future. We're not in a short-term window where we're facing cap hell with veterans. And look, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I have a lot more faith in Tua Tagovailoa than I do in Jay Fiedler. Like, I'm just being honest.
Psych.
So at the end of the day, I mean, if you're asking me, do I think this roster has the best chance to be successful? I mean, that Dolphins roster in the 2003, I mean, like, we were on the cover of the ESPN magazine. We all remember that cover. We were all excited, and we underachieved every year after year. I think it's going to be the reverse this year. I think this team's going to actually achieve more than the expectation.
Well, yeah, because I agree with you, because here's the thing. The 2003 roster didn't have the leadership we have with Mike McDaniel and the staff we're putting together. BallGame, what are your thoughts?
I just think across the board, man, it's been a long time where I've actually been able to think about this team and not figure out, and not be able to figure out who to stop the team, stop the offense at least. This is a hard position for any defensive coordinator to have to be in to defend this team. And the luxury, I wouldn't even say luxuries. Well, it is a luxury because if you think about it, right, there aren't a lot of teams in the league that actually have three solid wide receivers. They have maybe a one, halfway decent two, and then a guy that is thrown in there at three, or they got a tight end that flexes for their three, and they, feed him. But the Dolphins, this roster can give you nightmares at every position. Every one of the guys that can line up from the tight end spot to the X to the Z to, what I'm saying, they can win matchups on their own. And I just think to myself, like, the kid doesn't have to have the best deep ball, but he does. He's, you know what I mean? And his short to intermediate game is phenomenal. This is going to be a problem.
You know
bro.
where we're going after this. You just segued it. And okay, so let's talk about this.
Guys, can I say one more thing, though?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Because we're going to get back to the schedule after, but I just want to talk about that.
Jalen Waddle is going to become a superstar this year. We saw what he did last year when he was the man, and everyone knew the ball was going to him because there's no one else that was going to take the pressure off. Yeah. Right? We all agree that Marlon Humphrey is a really, really good NFL
and he turned him inside out, brother.
I mean, imagine what's going to happen when Tyreek Hill is taking the pressure off of Jalen Waddle.
It's over.
Like, point, bro.
And look at Waddle, the work. Like, I know Tua's put in the work and he deserves all the credit, but Jalen Waddle's been right there putting in the work this offseason.
Can't double everyone.
Jalen Waddle is going to become a superstar.
And so is Lynn Bowden.
You can't double everyone, bro. This is just problems after problems after problems.
See, I might have made a bet on Twitter in the offseason taking Albert Wilson over Lynn Bowden last season, but I wouldn't have done that this season because Lynn Bowden, I got locked in as 4, and if anyone goes down in front of him, don't think he ain't going to try and come for your reps, man.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy's Cedric Wilson has to stay healthy because Lynn Bowden, if he gets locked in at that slot, he's
faster now, right?
Bro, I Perform have told me they clocked him at 4.37, bro. And remember, this is a guy who transitioned to wide receiver, never played it before, and he was the only guy who didn't have a single drop for us in 2020. Like, he was literally the most reliable wide receiver. So let's talk about this, guys. Obviously, we're gonna get back to the schedule here in a sec, but the talk this week was about Underthrow-gate. And the Dolphins media team, I've shown the video to my viewers. They've seen it. But I'm going to show the positive video that came out because Tyreek Hill came to his defense today and said, "Can y'all chill or nah? We talking about practice." And then he posted this video, guys. So we'll let this video play, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts. All right. And I will mute it. There's going to be music, so bear with me as I hit the mute button. Let it roll through a bit here. Okay, Hunter Long. Then he throws this absolute bomb to Tyreek Hill in stride. All right, one more time. See it? So nothing but just slinging the ball around and Tyreek showing him off. And this was obviously all over. I mean, guys, that video of the underthrow has over 6 million views on Twitter right now. Look at that, was a dime, absolute dime. In stride.
The trolls are still out, bro.
They're alive and breathing. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole, like, we're in May? I know we can all say Allen Iverson, we're talking about practice, but what kind of stage are we getting to where people are, you know, is Tua Tagovailoa the most polarizing figure because he is the least controversial as a person, but yet for some reason he's the most controversial as a player? Like, what are we getting at to? Because, guys, this made the underthrow made the New York Post. Like, that's why we're talking about this right now. It made the freaking New York Post. All right. Now, we all know this ain't going to make the New York Post, but Jalen Waddle retweeted it, said right in the breadbasket. Robert Hunt retweeted it and quote tweeted and says a bunch of players are coming out and basically quote tweeting it. And Nick Hicks even told me privately, you know, a lot of the players are pissed that video came out about the underthrow, and they're letting everyone know what the deal is, that they stand behind their quarterback right now. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole we'll start with you on this one, Neal. What are your thoughts on this whole underthrow-gate? I know you're saying, thank God I've been on Twitter because this is ridiculous. Your brain's going to melt. But, like, what are your thoughts that now we're getting to this point where players are having to put out clips and tell everybody? I mean, Tyreek Hill basically told everyone politely to shut the F up. Like, that's basically what he did.
I honestly think it's one of the biggest non-stories that we've seen in a while. No wonder the New York Post probably can't sell papers anymore. And with everything going on in the world, they're focusing on a quarterback that they think underthrew. I just don't understand why there's a segment of people that want this guy to fail. Even, like, you know, I'm a fan of football and the Dolphins are my team, but I don't go out there and publicly, like, really care about people failing. Like, Tom Brady ruined my life for 20 years. I respect him. I think he's the best player that ever played football. Like, I just don't get, like, the way Tua carries himself off the field. Like, I say this all the time. Like, he's a guy that I want my son to look up to. Like how I looked up to Cal Ripken, how I looked up to Dan Marino. Like, I think it's ridiculous that there's, like, this campaign to smear this guy. Like, Jets fans, Bill fans, Patriots fans, division, it's fun. But it just seems like the national narrative takes a lot of shots of him at well. And I just hope that we get to see this season what we all expect. And, you know, I've told you this reason on our show. You know, I really think that come week 8 of the NFL season, one of the stories that's going to come around, Good Morning Football or something of those on the bottom of the ticker, did the Dolphins get it right with Tua Tagovailoa? Because he has the ability to make the joke on everybody else this season. He's hungry. He's motivated. But, you know, whether he pans out or not, he doesn't deserve the negative attention he's getting. But you know what? I'd rather be the underdog. So be it. Like, you know, I haven't seen a quarterback in Miami as a fan for 35 years in the post-Marino era that gave me more hope than Tua Tagovailoa. And I love Chad Pennington. I mean, you know, I cheer for this team when it was Jay Fiedler, when it was Damon Heward, when it was Gus Farrat, when it was Cleo Lemon. I still believed in this team. We have a guy who was a number 5 overall pick,
Brian Greasy,
the best collegiate players that ever played the game, and we're not happy with it because Justin Herbert has been a fantasy football champion and Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, he's our quarterback. Burrow and Herbert will never be our Miami Dolphin quarterbacks at this point, right? So I'm a big believer in like support them. If people want to trash them, they can.
Well, here's my take, and it might not be the popular one, and I don't really care at this point because I'm so sick of people running around wanting to look for every negative thing associated with this kid and try to make it out to be a whole lot more than it is. I don't really care if you don't like Tua. First and foremost, because the people that are truly Dolphins fans truly understand that any success that they're going to have with this team, regardless of who's at quarterback, they need to be rallied behind it, and it doesn't matter at this point. The fact that he's not 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyed, and some freaking, you know what I'm saying, model of a guy that they had in their mind from way back when. Quarterbacks have changed. The look of quarterbacks have changed. The game has even changed. Those people probably should go try to find a new sport and worry about trying to figure out something else to do with their time then, because they're so old in their mindsets about what a quarterback should look like that they don't even really understand that the game has changed twofold. This kid has done nothing other than be outstanding in high school, outstanding in college, and probably Alabama probably beat the brakes off of their college team. So, people are petty like that. You know what I mean? That's completely crazy to me that you would take hate from college, roll it over into pro, and then still want to see a guy fail when all it is football, right? But people are simple these days, and they find the smallest of things to hold on to. Like and they're making a personal vendetta with a kid who is, without a shadow of doubt, and has been said over and over again, one of the most humble, one of the nicest, and one of the most religiously based people on this planet.
Is that what
right?
it's about, a ball game?
Well,
Because
hate,
because don't you guys see I'm not talking about the player. Don't y'all see the parallels with Tim Tebow?
Yeah.
Like Tim Tebow was one of the biggest winners at the collegiate level, but as soon as people saw a chink in the armor when he got to the NFL level, because we all knew he wasn't a good passer of the football, the hate and he still kept winning even though he wasn't a good quarterback.
Facts.
I mean, do you guys think this is a big?
We didn't see it with Johnny.
They tore him down because of his faith, bro.
Exactly. Like, why
They
didn't you
did.
see it with Johnny Manziel?
We didn't see it with him.
I mean, I've joked around and said the media must be like the Illuminati must be real here because I don't get it. You know what I mean? But like, devil worshippers. I don't know why else are you hating on the kid so much. But it's just so polarizing. And Richmond had technical difficulties. He's restarting his computer. He'll give me back in a sec. I want to get back though, guys, to the schedule for a sec.
Sure.
Interesting thing. What did you guys think about the fact that the Dolphins are actually going to travel the fourth most mileage all year, about 25,000 miles, only behind the Jaguars, the Denver Broncos, and the Seattle Seahawks? And then they're in only 14 different time zones, though, which is, I mean, obviously Seattle, West Coast, but a lot of mileage to this team. And you see, 4 of the last 6 games are on the road. And you made the good point, Neal. Obviously, San Francisco, LA, you don't got to leave the West Coast. But by the end of this, by the end of the season, do you think this mileage, adds up and takes effect if this team wants to make a playoff push?
I just think these pros are getting used to this. It's part of the game now, man. And I actually think that having a coach like Mike McDaniel, who's not going to come in here and just run it like Flores ran a really, really tight ship. And I'm not saying that Mike McDaniel isn't going to be disciplined, but I think he's going to be more of a player's coach and help understand, when they take these long trips, to give them an extra day off that's part of the game now. The good news is that Stephen Ross has a lot of money and he puts a lot of money into this team and they travel well. And, the Dolphins are, with Stephen Ross, those long flights, we all see the planes that they're getting off of. It's not like they're on Southwest slumming it and C in the middle seat, So I think that they'll be just fine. And, at the end of the day, it's a part of the game. And, unless they get the number 1 seed in the AFC, they're going to have to travel in the playoffs too. So it's good to get some practice at doing that as well.
This guy, I love it.
Look, I think there's a home field advantage for sure in football. I'm not going to be naive and say there isn't, but I also think that these guys are professionals. Like, when you travel a lot, I used to travel 40 weeks a year for work. You get used to it and your body gets used to it. You don't care as much, the time zone, when you do it once or twice a year, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? I think the Dolphins will be fine.
Yeah, I think anything that's put in front of them at this point is just going to build character, to be truthful with you. And the fact that you got a coach that's going to allow them to be professionals and not treat them like overgrown kids. That's going to be huge for them, right? All these guys are there to do a job, and I think, across the board that they can all be trusted to be professionals. I mean, like, we're not a team that has a whole bunch of issues in the off season and things of that nature. So best part about it is that you're right, Neal. They do travel in style, so
Right.
that makes the process so much easier. The miles don't matter. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's just part of the job. So, for these guys, I don't see that being an issue at all, man. I think this, like I say again, I think this is the most complete team we've had in quite some time. Even the young guys know what it means to be a part of an NFL team, right? Jalen Phillips, all these guys, man. And they're all rounding up. You know what I mean? You got Raekwon, you know what I'm saying? Christian, they're pros. So it's a part of it. They'll be ready, bro.
Do
Go ahead,
you
Neal.
guys see, though, how, like, just in the post-Brian Flores era already, even though it's been a short time period, how close-knit this team is? Like, going to the race together, all these things. Mike McDaniel, I've never seen a head coach go out with his players that much. I think
They're
it's
taking pictures like rap album covers, bro. It was amazing.
rocking Yeezys running out with the team, like Tua. And for all the people that, like, were saying that the team had a beef with Tua, I mean, there's evidence now that you're not right, because that seems like the least thing. I mean, Jalen Waddle seems like he's at his side. Gesicki, the tight end room, they're at Florida Panther games, beating my Caps. All these things that are out there. But, like, I love to see that. I love to see that camaraderie, because I don't think that existed here in a long time.
Well,
That's what it feels. It feels like there's an authenticity that wasn't here. I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, remember when we're in the off season? It was the off season. Remember the Watson talk was rampant, and Flores said that he had lunch with Tua. You remember that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I confirmed from Tua's camp. Like, while Flores was still our head coach, that never happened. And okay, so we get that. Then this offseason, you hear, Tua says, I told Mike McDaniel, I'm hanging out with the guys, and he's actually, he's kind of disappointed. He wants to hang out with us. And we're all like, oh, that's just the coach. But then you actually see him out there with them, and it's like, no, Mike McDaniel's probably disappointed he didn't get asked to hang out with all the boys. Like, it's a totally different, like, authenticity, like, down to, like, even what they're saying in media availabilities is more believable. It seems like they've kind of been given the green light. You know what? Be yourself. Don't say stupid stuff, but be yourself.
Here's the thing. There was always this notion that there had to be this separation between the coaches and the players, right? For the longest time in football, right?
Yep.
But what has been proven over time has always been that when a coach can understand and really truly gel on a personal level with his players, those players play harder.
Yep.
They trust and believe in any and everything that the coach says, and they go out and they execute it to the best of their ability, because they know that he's also going to have their backs when their back's against the wall. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what he's building now. He didn't come in pointing fingers and hellfire and brimstone. I'm going to treat you as a man. I want you to treat me as a man. This is what we're here to accomplish. I have a job to do. You have a job to do. But let's have fun while we do it. And let's build a relationship of trust and respect and honesty, because we're going to need that, because there's going to be some dark times ahead, possibly. Right?
When the bullets start flying, you got to believe in the guys next to you and the guys that are giving you instructions, bro. Yeah.
These guys going to battle, bro, together. So they
you gotta go to war, man.
Trust each other, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when the experts were saying that Miami was no longer going to be a destination due to the Brian Flores thing? And then Tyreek Hill said, you know what? I want to be a Dolphin, right?
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel's working behind the scenes to angle himself into Miami. And this is all after Mike
Taron Armstead.
Taron Armstead took a contract way less than us anticipated. Reason you and I were $5 million off, and that doesn't happen often.
No,
right?
Yeah.
This team has a chemistry that feels unique. It feels special, and it's what great teams have. And, look, we haven't played it down yet, but I have a better feeling about this team right now than I ever did about any other Miami Dolphin teams under Brian Flores. Ever.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, though. I said, for me, man, it's hard. The hardest part for me right now is tempering. Like,
Yeah.
keeping my because I've been let down. I mean, I've been a fan of this team since '77, bro. You feel me?
Right.
So yeah, a long time. But
And
my excitement level is here, but I just refuse to let the cap come off and just be over the top because I'm still a football head, and I need to see the football played,
Bro.
right?
And
the roster looks amazing, but I want to see the X's and O's executed on the field. Once I see that, yeah, I'm back.
And what's crazy is I think my 3 most painful sports moments are Dolphin moments. The loss in the AFC Championship to Jim Kelly. I remember sitting with my dad crying. Against the Chargers, the missed field goal. I remember
against the 49ers,
I remember. Yeah, but like we were supposed to win these, man. Like the 94 one, we should have. If they would have went to the Super Bowl 94, they would have won that shit, bro. And then Marino's last game. Marino's, I cried, man, when Mark Brunell did what he did to us.
They did us dirty.
And that was the first ever game my stepdad, who now has Alzheimer's, that's the first ever football game he watched with me, was the Marino game. And I remember being like, oh, man.
They did us dirty, bro.
The pain, you know what I mean? And yet, as a Penguins fan, I felt like, 5 Stanley Cups, jubilation in my lifetime, back-to-back World Series as a Jays fan. Hell, the Raptors have seen a championship. I never thought I would ever say the Raptors were going to see an NBA championship before the Miami Dolphins. Never would have thought that, man. And, man, I just feel like we've earned through blood, sweat, and tears as just a fan base. We've earned success, man.
It is tough to get there.
Oh, yeah, dude.
This is the most physically demanding sport on the planet. And we're due. You're right. We're due.
Well, let me ask a question to Richmond real quick. Because Richmond, you played with Dan Marino. You guys had a great teams. Like, you had to have years where you thought that was your year. You had to have those. Like, there was times where as a fan, like I was sitting there like, this is going to be Marino's year. He's going to get the ring. I don't have to hear about the Troy Aikman bullcrap anymore. Like, there were so many years where I thought that. And look, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'm the first to admit when it comes to it, I could be a big homer at times. I love this team, and I think with my heart and my head, and sometimes my heart wins. But there was times that Dolphins roster with Marino and you guys, like you and Keith Sims holding down the line, we couldn't find always the perfect running back, but guys were productive. We had receivers come in, Mark Ingram, Irvin Fryer have big careers. There had to be years where you were like, this is going to be it.
Oh, no question. And Reason brought up some bad memories. All those games he mentioned, I was part of them. So, but it wasn't intentionally, but it was, the Jacksonville game, the San Diego game, and then I think the tough one was like you said, we played in the AFC Championship, and I think the thing that was really tough for me was, one, it was Buffalo, but 2, we were at home, and we were, right in Miami. And I think to lose that game, that was tough. And then the other season that I felt really good about, and I think it was, it had to be maybe 92, somewhere in there. I can't remember, but anyway, we went like 92, and we played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, and that was the Leon Litt.
I remember that. Yeah, in the snow.
Yeah. And we were 9-2. We beat Dallas that game, and due to injuries, we only had to win one more game to make it in the playoffs, and we lost like 5 games.
Yeah.
So that's why when I talk about it, I know you can have the players, but injuries sometimes can really play a factor in, situations like that. But I think the one that really, really hurt, the Jacksonville game was bad, but I think getting that close to it and losing to Buffalo, because you win that game, you're in there, and never having a chance to experience that, I think that was the toughest one for me.
How did Stoyanovich make it out of the locker room after the loss?
You know what? We didn't.
I don't blame me.
I know all y'all looking at him like this guy got one job. One job, bro.
No, but that's the most pressure-packed job on the field.
For sure.
It's pressure, but then you go back through the game and you can look and see it wasn't just that play.
Oh yeah,
it was plays we could have. But but you're right. It's just so magnified at the end of the game. You got to kick a field goal or whatever to win, and and you don't make it, I think that's a tough part.
I mean, I've always said when I do the live streams and live reaction to games, if it comes down to one play and you don't, that play doesn't go in your favor, you didn't do enough to win the game if it comes down to one play.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you basically put it into a 50-50 chance. Richmond, I just want to get your thoughts because I got their thoughts. The Dolphins are going to travel the fourth most distance of any NFL team. And I mean, you've gone down the NFL road. Does that, like, traveling over 25,000 miles by the end of the season, does that add up at all?
Sometimes the West Coast trips are tough, but like Neal said, with them being back to back, the good thing is they can just stay over and you got 2 weeks at that. I think the tough part was adjusting to the time change. You know, it's 3 hours different, and you'll wake up a lot earlier than you will over here. And I'm sure it's hard on West Coast teams when they got to come to the East Coast. But I think that's one of the toughest things. But the jet lag and stuff can sometimes gets to you. But normally what we would do typically on a West Coast trip, we would go out 2 days early. I know with Coach Schuler. So if we played on Sunday, we would leave Friday instead of leaving on Saturday. And it gives you a little bit more adjustment. I think that 2 days, sometimes going out a couple of days early did help. At least it felt like it helped me because it gave me a day to kind of adjust.
A question: How much will Miami show in 3 preseason games, scheme wise, or will they save it for the first 4 games? Like, I personally don't. They're not going to start opening the playbook, especially, we only got 3 games, and the last game especially is going to be backups fighting for spots. So we're going to be talking like the basics here. I mean, you'll see like, basic packages, but you're not going to see like crazy sub packages, and you're not going to see Ruby and Diamond defenses trotting out here. You know what I mean? What are you guys' thoughts?
Preseason wasting time,
man. Exactly. Why would you show your hand? Because all it does is give other teams time to prepare for what you're going to do and this and that. You look good in preseason. You go undefeated, but those games don't count. So you get in the regular season starts, and you've shown everything you can do, and now you're struggling. You don't surprise anybody, and then everybody, fans, like, what the hell is wrong with the team? Y'all just, did just that. You showed your whole hand. So you got to be able to play a little poker, like you said, just basic defense, not too much blitz packages, not too many of your personnels on offense. This and that, what you gonna do? It doesn't make sense. And I can remember we would take that time preparing for preseason. A lot of time we would take each week, we would work on the first game we were playing. So say New England, even though whoever we got preseason that first week, we spent a day working on just New England stuff. The next week we'd add another day. So we would get extra practices for what we thought they were going to do the first game. So we would be really prepared for the first game to try to jump out and get that W. That makes more sense. Kind of look good in preseason. I don't care about preseason.
You remember last year when they played the Falcons and Jalen Waddle was down on the field and we were all sitting there with our stomachs in our throats, worried that he might have had a significant injury. Like, I hate the preseason. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I would rest as many key players as possible, get some of the younger players some work, but like, I wouldn't show much. I wouldn't play much. I would, a series or two. I would treat on the cusp. I would treat every preseason game in today's world like the last one. Maybe give your starters a series or two, but like, I don't see a lot of good. They practice hard in the summer. They put a lot of effort in. These guys are professionals. They've been playing football their whole life. Sure, they need time to gel in chemistry, but I think there's more wrong that can happen, more harm than good. Like, you go trash a team in the preseason, who cares, right? The stats don't carry over, the win doesn't carry over. But if you lose a starter, that matters. So I treat these like they're the dress rehearsal. Let's get everyone healthy, break a little bit of a sweat, get some Gatorade, sit on the bench, let some of these young guys audition for other teams and fight for the last roster spot.
That's it. The last part of it is that's it. Let the guys that are fighting for a job go out and play these games.
Do you guys put a lot of stock in strength of schedule, or do you guys look at it as, hey, that opponent win percentage is from last year? Because the Dolphins are actually, last year, remember we were third, I believe, right? Third or second or third in strength of schedule, and this year we're down to 21. Our opponent's combined record last year is under 500. What are you guys' overall thoughts? Because obviously additions happen, but what are you guys' overall thoughts on the whole strength of schedule concept?
Well, when you think about how the playoffs ended, right, in terms of the teams that made the playoffs, right, those teams are arguably the better teams on both sides of the bracket, right, AFC to NFC. But then there's a really good grouping on both sides where teams are pretty even, right? And I would think across the board that there's maybe at best like 6 teams out of all 32 that are just don't worry about them. But everybody else is pretty competitive. Yeah. So the strength of schedule thing for me, I don't really factor it in because you got to get prepared to play who on the schedule anyway. Sure didn't even. So if you're going out thinking to yourself, oh, well, okay, these guys, they're not that good. Those are the games that you really get your, the team winds up get your you know what I'm saying, get your shit pushed in. You know what I mean? And then
this man just said.
So you can't take any team lightly. Yeah. So strength of schedule, I treat them all as if they're the top tier teams, and you just go out and execute and do your best in every game. You have to do it that way. If you
any given Sunday.
Yeah.
You're right, man. If you keep that mentality of any given Sunday, anyone could beat anyone on Sunday. Treat everyone like they made it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All right. So in Richmond, I can guarantee you as players did not even look at strength schedule. Just looked at the roster, said, let's go get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you can look at it, but you really can't. And it changes week to week, kind of like BallGame said. And at any given week, you can get beat. Some team that's 0-15, you don't want to get beat by that team, but they'll come out and look like Super Bowl champs one, and you'd be like, what happened the other previous 15 weeks or whatever? So I think preparation is the key, and don't underestimate anybody. Sometimes you might look and say, okay, if they got a bunch of key guys out that's normally starters or whatever, and they're kind of, limping into the game like a wounded duck or something, you might say, well, let's go ahead and just take care of business, because if we go ahead and apply the pressure and take them out the game early, no one will have any problems out of it. But yeah, you got to prepare as if it doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to prepare week in, week out for that.
Boys, I got to ask you guys a question. You take a look at the schedule, and we know as fans and even players, they do it. Which games, when you look at the schedule initially, are you circling? Because I sit here and I look at, there's 3 games that really pop off to me that I'm circling, and that's the Bengals. Actually 4: the Bengals, the Steelers. Sorry, Flo. The Browns, hoping Watson's there and we can give them the work.
And the Packers.
Well, yeah, I guess 5 Packers, but the Chargers too. You know what I mean? I guess you're right. Add the Packers. Those would be the 5 games. That'd be really, even the Ravens. You got to circle that one a little bit, because remember last time they met us in the first 2 weeks, when they met us in week 1 a couple years ago, they shellacked us. So, we'll be circling those ones. But what are the games you guys look at and you're like, man, this is going to be like must-see TV for my Dolphins?
I think it's I'm sorry. I was going to say it's the Bills.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The Bills game. What Josh Allen has done to the Dolphins in his 8 starts, he's embarrassed us. Yeah. The division goes through them. They're going to be the Super Bowl favorites. That game, we have to win one of the games against Buffalo this year. Yep. We have to. We have to get that taste out of our mouth. I'm looking at week 3 on the road, because if you could go steal one on the road from them, that home game's a lot more fun. And, look, we can't run from the fact no quarterback in football has had more success against another team than Josh Allen has had against the Dolphins. If I'm a Miami Dolphin player and I'm on that defense, I'm sitting in the locker room saying, look, we know what this dude does. We got to go and hit him.
Do you think we got him right where we want, because that's week 3 and that'll be the dead heat of September in Miami?
Yeah.
Well, we're in Buffalo.
No, we're in Buffalo week 15.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. The home. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do. I just think we got to win the game. I don't even care where we are, man. What they've done to us is embarrassing. Sean McDermott's a hell of a good coach. And I think what's hurt us is that our defense in one of those games last year held, and then the offense kept putting them in bad positions. I'm circling them, but I also think you're right on the Burrow game because, look, if you're a player and you have pride, we're Dolphins fans, I want Tua to be better than Herbert and Burrow. I'm not going to sit here
and we missed it in the rookie year. Remember, Neal, because Burrow got hurt.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's on prime time. Everyone's going to be talking about that. That's going to be the pregame video show as Burrow and Tua came out in the same draft. All that's going to be the talk. And if Tua goes up on that show and puts up a statement game, because those are statement games, and those games matter, right? Because that's what everyone tracks back when they were talking about, at the end of the year. Because here's the thing, right? We forgot about this. When Tua played Herbert, the Dolphins won, and Tua outplayed Herbert.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't talk about that. It's okay. But I think you had a lot of good games on that schedule. I think the Texans probably got us circled because of how bad we fleeced them in all of these trades and have put their franchise in a hellacious position. But I mean, the schedule is fun, man. I think it's a fun schedule.
Yeah, I agree with you, Neal. I mean, I like the other games. I like the primetime games. I think BallGame and reasons, like you said, the Joe Burrow Tua matchup, they're gonna hype that up, and then also with Herbert out and with the Chargers, this and that. But the road goes through Buffalo, and I know the most important thing that we were always talking about was win the division. Right now, Buffalo is the top dog, and you got to go through them. So, like you said, come out week 3. We got them at home. If you can win that one, I think that makes a huge statement to let them know, hey, we're not laying down. It's not the same Miami Dolphin team you've really had a lot of success against. Even if, you play well, just knowing that we're going to match your level of play and intensity. You score, we score. It just reminds me of when I think about some of those quarterback matchups when we would play like Denver and it was Marino Elway, or we would go against Buffalo and it was Jim Kelly against Dan Marino, this and that. It was I can't say it, but I think Dan definitely got hyped from that, especially with somebody in that quarterback class. I think when he came out in '83, it was 6 quarterbacks won the first round, and a lot of them turned out to be pretty good. So I think those games will be good because they're prime time and it'll give national exposure. You're the only team playing, and definitely helps as far as, if you play well in those games, you'll probably see a lot of our players have an opportunity to make All-Pro or make the Pro Bowl and all that because everybody gets to see you play.
Everybody watching them.
Yeah, everybody watching them and stuff like that. But winning the division is definitely key. But
I think we go 5-1 in this division. I really do. Okay, I think we lose the Buffalo on the road in okay, I'll give you that. I think we beat the Patriots on the road. I think we go I think we go 5-1 in this division. I really honestly believe this thing.
I ain't gonna argue with you on that.
Boy, that's important. That's important. We need to. Yeah,
I think there's a realistic chance we might walk into Thursday Night Football 3-0. There is a realistic chance. I honestly think at worst we're walking in there at 2-1.
I got even a hotter take than that.
Go.
I think the Dolphins are going to finish 12-5 and win the division.
Dang, he just took my thing.
Sweet. Well, no, as long as
we
we're
can
all
share
in
it.
agreement,
I was sitting here counting the losses that I thought we were taking. I only could see 5, so I'm at 12-5.
Save it for the preseason roundtable, boys. When we do our predictions, when I get that little fancy graphic for all of us when we pick winners and losers.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not going to act like the Steelers game's going to be a layup. That defense is tough, but who is it going to be? Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett? I honestly, I really could care less.
You know what I said to myself, boys? Worst case scenario. If you start off this season 2-2 and you also split the final 4, right? Again, you look at the middle of the schedule from the Jets to the Bills.
winnable game.
And look at how many games you see that are winnable there. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 should wins. I counted. I'm gonna count the Jets, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Lions, the Bears, the Texans, and the Niners. Those are should win games. That's you win if you start off, between 2-2 start and 2-2 finish. That's 4-4. You win another of those 7.
That's 11 and 6.
I think 11 and 6 is the floor. I think that's the floor.
That's what you do. That's what you need to get in. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, the schedule's great. I mean, look, I'm a draft nerd. I've already started looking and did a 2023 mock draft. And my top 5, I had the Commanders as the worst team in football. But then I had the Lions, the Bears, the Texans, and the Jets right after them. And we play them all in a period of time. So,
San Fran could struggle this year bad, Neal.
Look, Deebo Samuel, the honeymoon is over there. Who knows what happens there with him? They're going to go with Trey Lance. We've all read the reports that Trey Lance hasn't looked what they expected of him. I mean, it's always tough with a rookie quarterback going in. They lost Tomlinson on the line. I mean, there's a lot to like about this schedule. And I think the good thing is that middle, we went on a 7-game or 8-game losing streak and a 7-game winning streak last year.
And it was tougher than this group that we got to face.
Right. If there's more balance to the schedule, you see more kind of, more parity, like the Lions, the Bears, who knows? Honestly, the Browns game is one that that could be Jacoby Brissett.
Please be Jacoby Brissett. I'm praying.
I want it to be Deshaun Watson.
I want to see the best that they have to offer, man.
Yeah, I want Watson. I want.
I just want Jacoby Brissett. So Tua can show firsthand you started this guy over me, Flores.
Right.
But hey, if we go whoop Sean Watson, I ain't gonna cry either, because then I can rub it in all the Watson waters faces too.
God, so you're telling me Brian Flores is coming prime time into Miami with the Steelers? That is awesome,
bro. I just wish I was a fly on the wall for that first defensive meeting between players and position coaches. The eye contact between him and
the guys in the back end saying to themselves, and they holding their hand up and saying, "How are we going to defend them, coach?"
Yeah,
right. Their corners are awful. I mean,
are you guys? I know we all I know we all stressed about the difference between Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, but Monday Night Football is Monday Night Football. Are you guys disappointed there's no Monday Night Football game this year?
Sure, I'd like to have one. I thought we should have 3 primetime games.
Well, that Jets game, if you guys read that Jets game and that Bills game, week 15 and week 18, they are to be determined. So they could be Saturday games, right? They could be Saturday games.
Saturday games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you could get a primetime Saturday game, I guess, right?
Yep.
So,
the way to get more Monday Nighters next year is to handle your business this year.
The Dolphins go 9-1. Listen, the Dolphins go 9-1 into the bye week. The schedule's going to change around a bit. I'm telling you right now. They're gonna make some of these games available so people can start. Because at the end of the day, they're gonna always be looking for the hot ticket, right? And they're gonna always be looking for viewership too. So there's been a lot of speculation around this kid. So if he's out here tearing it up, like I believe he will, they're gonna want to show him as much as possible.
Especially if we're neck and neck with the Bills come week 15, they'll flex that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because the TB determined gives us even more Sunday night options, right? That's Sunday night. You could be flexing Sunday night on those days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I just can't wait for September, boys.
Me either.
Look at this, September 1st. The 11th? Oh, we're starting off on 9/11, bro. Starting off 9/11. Someone's gonna have to call the police when we're done with the New England Patriots. That's what I'm saying. Hey? So, man, you guys, we're already about an hour and 5 minutes in here. Your guys, thoughts? Any thoughts on, Tom Brady getting $375 million? and essentially killing any notion people wanted to talk about him becoming a Dolphin after he leaves the Bucs, because he'll be running to that $37.5 million a year gig. That'll be for sure. Okay, one thing I did want to talk about before we get out of here, the Sony Michel edition. We touched on it earlier, Neal. What are your guys feeling on this edition? Because he's a guy who quietly had over 1,000 all-purpose yards. 925 of them were on the ground for the Rams last year. Other than that year where he was injured, he had 900 over 1,000 all-purpose yards 2 years before that, right? Because he was injured the year before that. And then as a rookie, we all remember how good he was as a rookie. He had over 1,200 yards on the ground, tore up the playoffs as a rookie. What are your guys' thoughts on Michel? Because I look at it this way, boys. Raheem Mostert, the home run hitter. Chase Edmonds from the 20 to 20, receiving chunk yardage guy. Once you get inside that 20, you need a guy to run inside those gaps wherever on the field. Now you got Sony Michel. We've got all three phases figured out with three different backs, and that's why I say if this committee stays healthy, I mean, you could get top 12 production from them combined. What are your guys' thoughts now on kind of this running back room being rounded out a little bit more? And who's y'all running back for? Salvon Ahmed or Myles Gaskin? Because this could spend the end of Myles Gaskin, because, I mean, let's remember Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan, they drafted Salvon Ahmed. One of the first moves this new regime, in fact, the first move this new regime did when they came into power was they tendered Salvon Ahmed. So what are your guys' thoughts on who wins this running back 4 battle and how this running back room is shaping up with the addition of Sony Michel?
I think the key is going to be the guy that can be the most consistent in the pass catching game, because short of running prowess, neither Ahmed or Gaskin are really the guy that you want to lean on. But all of the backs that we have are really good pass catchers out the backfield, so they bring that element. I just think whoever makes the least amount of mistakes between Gaskin and and Ahmed. And Ahmed gives you a different type of burst, though.
Yeah,
right?
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. He's definitely a lot more explosive when he puts his foot in the ground and he's getting upfield. So
that's the conundrum ball game. Gaskin has a better vision, but Ahmed's clearly the more explosive guy, right?
Yep. So nothing. It's gonna be nothing short of exciting, though, bro. Like, this is a problem that you want to have, right? Like, legitimately now at this point, our fourth guy on the depth chart, somebody could be going somewhere else, and the guy that stays is still going to be able to contribute.
I love it, man.
In some form and fashion, possibly. So,
I love it. What are you guys' thoughts, Richmond, Neal?
Go ahead.
Yeah. My thoughts are, I agree with some of the points that BallGame made, but the other thing I look at is you add in Sony Michel, so you can, like you said, you kind of look at his past history, running for 1,200 or at least being total yards 1,000 yards a season. But when you come into a situation like this with the weapons we have with the wide receiver and then having 3 backs that you can rotate, everybody should stay fresh. So it's not like you got a running back that's a workhorse to say, well, if we got Sony Michel, but we're probably going to run him until, he gets injured. You got 3 guys you continually rotate to keep everybody fresh. And I think all of them kind of do different things, but they all do things well. Like I say, all of them are great catchers, but one's more explosive, one might have better vision, and one is just, in between the tackles, maybe run hard or this and that. It just creates more problems for a defense, just depending on who's out there. So I like the addition. I think that Coach McDaniel will maximize, all 3 running backs. I think some games, some guys get a little bit more play than others. Whoever's a hot hand, they're going to stick with it. But like BallGame said, that's a great problem to have. So I like it. I think it's definitely going to be a valuable asset to this team.
And Neal, Alec Ingold leading the way. They ran with the lead blocker over 44% of the time last year under Mike McDaniel and San Fran. That's another stud in the backfield. I mean, what are you thinking, bro? I know you touched on it earlier. I know you like the Sony Michel edition.
Yeah, I think Sonny Michel's the best of the three, actually. But I think all three of the names you mentioned would be our starter last year. All three of them are better players than Myles Gaskin. And when you talk about who the odd man out is, look, Myles Gaskin has a $2.5 million cap hit, and he probably has some trade value. You might be able to get a 5th or 6th for a running back needy team for Myles Gaskin, a team like the Giants, who's got Saquon Barkley, but he's been damaged goods there, right? So maybe that's a good trade spot for him. I think that they're going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to stay away from Dolphins running backs in fantasy football because
I agree.
Their touches are going to be diversified. But I think it's a good problem to have because again, Mostert, Michel, Edmonds would have all been our number 1 running back last year, and they're all on the same team. And I really like it from this angle that it's going to give defensive coordinators a harder time to prepare for us because they all have different running styles. And I think it's pretty unique to have. And the investment in, Sonny Michel was only $2.1 million. And I say only, but in NFL money, that's a bargain. And look what he did for the Rams down the stretch in their Super Bowl run.
With Cam Akers went down.
Yeah, I thought he was an unbelievable player down the stretch for them. The running back situation in Miami is a really, really good thing. Good value. You know what I mean? Like not just good players, but really good value when you look at the position. This offense as a whole gets me really excited.
Check your pulse, Neal.
The only thing, and like I said, the one move I would make is to go out there and lock up J.C. Treader.
Let me ask you this: would you lock him down for 1 year as a gap guy?
Yeah. I think because if you get him for 1 year, you're going to get a bargain on him. Maybe 1 year, $5-6 million, and he's a better player than that. It's ironic that a player who's graded out as a top 3 center in football back-to-back years is on the market. But if you think about this, because I think Michael Dieter's a serviceable player. I think J.C. Treader is a Pro Bowl type of player. If you go left to right, Terron Armstead, Connor Williams, J.C. Treader, Robert Hunt, and then the best man wins between Eichenberg and Austin Jackson. That's a good line, man, and that's way
top
better.
15.
Was it RG3 that said it today? In Tua's defense, everyone was questioning about Tua throwing the deep ball. They had the 32nd ranked line. Last year's Miami Dolphins offensive line was the worst I remember ever seeing as a Dolphins fan.
I agree.
And
we thought 2019 was historically bad. Remember, all of us were like 2019 was historically the worst we've seen. Somehow Brian Flores, with 2 more years and a lot more draft capital, managed to top it.
I was telling Richmond, tell me your cleat size, buddy. I'll send you some cleats. We got to get your ass out there, man.
Let's go.
I was tired to see what was going on out there, but no, in all honesty, Terron Armstead's a pro. He's going to help the younger guys get better. Yeah. I don't think Connor Williams is going to play center. I think they're going to get smart and play in the car because I think they're going to.
That was just emergency. We have no depth at center right now. That's all they're doing.
And that's why, if Michael Dieter is your swing center / guard,
beautiful.
And then you have Eichenberg at right tackle, and who knows what happens to Solomon Kinley. The guy showed promise at one point, but if the line is if you get Treader, it's hard to find a weakness on this roster. Yeah. Period. I hope Jason Sanders goes back to what he was 2 years ago, because 2 years ago he was the best kicker in football for that season. I'm not saying he's better than Justin Tucker, but for that season he was great. Last year he was atrocious. I think he's going to get better to that form, and then we have a better punter. All in all, this is a strong team. If Tua takes the step, and I'm betting on him. The question I have about Tua is what's his ring finger size? Because I think in the next 3 years, the dude's going to be hoisting up a Lombardi. And I'm not just saying that. I think in the next 3 years, the Miami Dolphins are going to win a Super Bowl. So if we have fans that want to get hyped, I believe that. I think we have unbelievable draft capital. I think Deebo Samuel is going to be a possibility in the offseason as well. I think this Miami Dolphin football team is going to be a problem for years to come. It's not just going to be this year. And the one thing that I eat crow on, because maybe Brian Flores is part of the problem, but Chris Greer had a vision, and we all want instant results. But we got to remember how bad the Dolphins were when Chris Greer took this situation over.
Yeah,
he got the roster better. He hit a home run with Holland, Waddle, and Phillips. This year in the offseason, can you guys remember a better offseason than we had? Tyreek Hill, Terron Armstead, and Cedric Wilson, this running back situation. Getting X happy. Come on, this has been awesome.
He hit on Wilkins too.
Wilkins, Wilkins.
Minka was it?
Yeah.
He drafted X was his first draft too, boys.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie. My favorite Simpson was always Homer, man. But I'm excited I'm excited about I say 12-5. I think we're going to win a playoff game this year, and that's important, right? Like I don't want to just go.
Yeah.
I want to win a playoff game.
One. Yeah.
And we can. And we, I mean, you look at this, it's going to be a crowded race for the playoffs. So the Dolphins have to stay disciplined. They have to get to 11 wins. There's no way you want to miss at 10-7 again. You don't want to get to that again. You got to win one of those games that you're not supposed to win. The game I'm looking at is the Green Bay Packers because
you're at home.
I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's unbelievable. I hate what he's throwing to this year. I don't think he's fully happy there. He's getting older. If you remember a few years, we had him on the ropes a few years back, and then he
Tannehill. Remember?
Yeah.
Andrew Carlos called a game-winning touchdown pass against us, and we let him off the ropes.
We gave him 52 seconds, and he drove down the field, bro. I was so bitter.
Oh,
man. I was so
back
mad.
in prevent,
we
man.
had them beat,
cut off
bro.
at a bar. I got cut off because I was getting so drunk.
I was pissed that game. I remember that game.
But that's a game that I think we can win. That the outside world would say would be an upset. But like I think that's a very winnable game for us. And like the games that scare me. Let's be like we see what we like. The games that scare me the most are Buffalo because of the track record. And Josh Allen's good.
Boys, the only games that scare me are New England and Buffalo in the snow at the end of the schedule. Other than I'm like, everything's winnable here.
I'm not necessarily scared about Buffalo in the snow because if you look at how they're built, they're not even built for the snow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just have to play in it because that's where they're from, but they're not even really built for it. So that's a winnable game up there for me. We just gotta be able to neutralize Josh Allen and everything else.
The reason why I say that is because whether you're a Dolphin fan or a Raider fan or whatever, anything can happen when the snow hits the ground. That's why I like if those are going to be clear, just crisp days, and you're going to say, hey, Reason, don't worry, they're going to be clear. They're going to be brisk. They're going to be brisk and crisp, clear days. We're good to go. But the fact I don't know what's going to be on the ground, that's what worries me.
New England doesn't scare me anymore, man. I got to be honest. Like their roster does not scare me. I know
Belichick that deep into the season, seeing us for the second time, he's going to have a few things up his sleeve for our defense. I got
all the respect in the world for.
Yeah, hey, Tua owns him. What can I tell y'all? Tua is the daddy of the New England Patriots. I don't know.
There is always a passing of the torch at some point, and there's nothing out here that lets me believe that the torch can't be passed to us. So.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive line took a step back. Shaq Mason's gone. Yeah. I mean, Isaiah Wynn never turned out to be the all-pro. He was more of a guard than a tackle. They draft Cole Strange at 29. Look, Hunter Henry's a good football player. What they have at receiver doesn't really scare me. I question Mac Jones. I'm not going to lie. And they lost their best player in JC.
Well, see, I'm not worried about Mac. See, again, this is why I'd be worried if the snow's on the ground. They're going to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hand. They're going to do what they do best, run the football. And we haven't seen us. Hey, we haven't. Again, one of those things, there's a few things we're all going to wait on and hold our breath on to see our team prove this season.
How we stop the run early.
Once again, BallGame, is that not a recurring theme? Since me and you have been on YouTube,
yeah,
that is literally a recurring theme every time we end the season. So if they're going to show me early on they can stop the run, we'll take the ball. Let Max whack Jones throw 3 times. Right. I'm cool with that. But I mean, they got a pretty good backfield, and that's one thing I will say. They know how to play defense and know how to run the ball. But if that's a clear day, and we got no weather conditions, and Tua can step back, and Tyreek and Waddle can have their way with that thing they call a secondary in New England right now,
it's gonna be a problem.
Then I'm good. That's a word. It's the weather conditions that worry me more about the Bills and the New England games more so than the teams. And it's not even because I think Tua sucks in cold weather. First of all, our whole team sucked in cold weather, not just one player. But it's the thing of anything can happen. You talk about any given Sunday. When snow's on the ground, it's really any given Sunday. That's
the ball real different when it's cold and wet.
Yeah, that's fumbles on punt returns can cost you games. Kick returns, like stupid stuff starts happening when the flakes start falling. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking about stopping the run, one name that the Dolphins were flirting with that's been rumored is Akeem Hicks, who is a Pro Bowl player for the Bears. I don't know what his price tag is going to be, but
Do it.
if it's reasonable. Like we still have what?
Do
Are we still at like 19-20 million in cap space?
Yeah, I think we're on 19. I think. Yeah,
I'd do it.
I'd do it. 110%.
When you look, because here's the thing, like I
Him
think
and Treader, you're done.
Well, we have a little bit more veteran presence to this team with Armstead and Tyreek Hill coming in. One of my complaints about the Dolphins last year was how young we were. You know, we were very young. Like Landon Roberts was a good veteran who I thought was a good leader, but like I think adding a couple veterans to this team right now is not a bad idea. And Akeem Hicks, a JC Treader, guys that have been there before. Like they're good football players that still probably got some gas in the tank, but what they do is they help groom those young players, right? Like,
experience, man.
I think they should make another.
And Akeem's versatile along that front. Akeem, he can play anything along that front too, right?
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah. What did you guys think? Are you guys intrigued at all about adding another edge depth guy in a Melvin Ingram or a Carlos Dunlap?
Let Jalen Phillips play.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. But behind Phillips and AVG, the depth is kind of we're talking about slim pickings here, is what I'm saying.
I think they should focus with the way the game is going. Should go ahead and pick up Bradbury and be done.
I think he's gonna want so much money. I think
how much you think he's talking?
Dude, I've heard someone was throwing out numbers on Twitter 2 days ago, like $15 million.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I was like, what are we talking about right now for James Bradbury?
Yeah, we good on that.
Yeah, we definitely good on that. So any final thoughts, guys?
It's exciting times, man. I think
the expectations
are
so
like
real.
Neal said, the experience. What we added is a lot of key experience and key places where, like, one of our biggest gripes last year, reason was who these guys talking to when they went to the sidelines and they was getting their butts kicked up front on the O-line, right? Now they got a guy. Now we have a guy, two guys actually, that when they get flustered and go to the sideline, coach didn't help them last year, but they got coaches now, and they have two veterans that really know and understand what's happening, that they can actually get these guys calmed down and figure out the best way to help them. So when the next series they go out there, they don't continuously getting beat by the same thing. We missed that last year. Coach offered nothing, and you had these guys just sitting over there on the bench next to each other, looking at each other like, "What your guy doing? What your guy doing?" Well, I don't know how to tell you how to fix that, Coach. You got anything? Just keep fighting, boys. That ain't good enough. Not when you got a group as young as they were. You know what I mean? And now they don't have to worry about that. I think we got the right got the right pieces in place, man. That's gonna help these guys take the next step as well.
$100 dono bomb.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
What an all-star cast. Mr. Webb, Mr. BallGame, Mr. Driscoll, and Reason. Love all your takes. Hyped in Hawaii. Aloha, gentlemen.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Indeed,
YouTube takes it 30% right off the rip. Love it, bro. Love it. Love it. Love it. Talk about a finder's fee. Jesus.
All right.
Yeah, 10% over here, bro. These guys are like 30%, no problem. You got shook down by the YouTube mob.
Worse than
so
IRS,
I know, you know what I'm saying? Richmond and YouTube's the reason the IRS been knocking on my door.
Easy.
Richmond, Neal, your final thoughts, boys.
My final thoughts are, I agree with BallGame. I agree with Neal. And one of the things that I really focused in on what Neal said was, 11 wins is his floor, but 12-5. And I think BallGame even agreed that that's realistic. And I think the difference this year is I can remember when I was a player, when you lose games the previous year that you possibly know you could have won and been in a better position, I don't think you forget about that. And I think we got enough veteran leadership, like you guys said, bringing in like Armstead, bringing in some actual coaches that actually got experience, stuff like that can make adjustments on the sideline and say, okay, this is what we're doing. I know this is what we said we were doing all week, but we're going to do this to compensate for what they're showing us right now. So, and then with the defense, I think they've always kind of had that veteran presence that, no matter what, they've kind of always been a little bit ahead of the offense. But now with some of the additions we added, like Tyreek Hill, this and that, and it'll give an opportunity for I think like Jalen Waddle to blossom. You can't double those guys, so I think it's going like BallGame. We said it's going to be a defensive coordinator's nightmare. So I'm looking forward to it. But I think the biggest thing is hey, let's not forget how close we got last year. We didn't make it in there. Let's get in there. And once you get in the playoffs, like you said, reason, and I think Cincinnati was a great example. Not that we're trying to beat them, but they got in there. They got hot. They won a couple of games and made the plays and made our way to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're doing that, but like Neal said, at least get one W up under your belt, and at least you get a taste of that. And it's hard to get that taste out your mouth because you always want more. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about this season.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up by just saying I know we've all talked about the talent we've added, but what I'm more excited about, or equally excited about, is the offensive coaching that we've brought. From a scheme and design standpoint, Mike McDaniel, I honestly don't think we had a scheme and design last year. When I could sit there and call the plays, and reason you and I are text each other, run, short pass, punt, like when we can call the plays, a 30-year coaching staff on the defense side of the ball can figure it out. So I'm excited about the scheme and design from Mike Daniels. And then I talk about like the basics, Darrell Bevel. I talk about Frank Smith. I think there's going to be a layer of coaching here that is way more advanced than we saw. So not only we're going to have better talent, we're going to have better coaching. And look, Brian Flores had his warts as a head coach. He was a good defensive play caller. We might even take a step back on the defensive side of the ball, but hopefully players that are young like Javon Holland, Jalen Phillips taking the next step, a guy like Shannon Tindall coming on board and coming and adding depth to that linebacker core, that helps the defense side of the ball. But our offense was borderline, or not even borderline, was pathetic last year. There was games where I was sitting there like, this reminds me of when we had a Lindo Mari and just kick field goal after field goal after field goal because we could never score touchdowns. I think Mike McDaniel is going to be able to scheme and design plays. I think, to everyone's point, the Hill and Waddle dynamic is going to be one of the most explosive things we've seen. The guy I expect to benefit most out of all the things, the ingredients I just said, is Mike Gesicki. I think the middle of the field is going to be wide open for that guy. And I think he needs development, and I hope he gets a little bit better on the route running. He's not going to block. He's never going to become, Rob Gronkowski as an inline blocker.
You don't think they can make him competent at least?
I don't think he has to be. I think what you do is play him to his strength.
I want him to, bro, because he limits you in your other sets, man.
Right. You got to make
your true run game sets. He limits you if he can't block a little bit, bro. Just to tie a guy up for 2 or 3 seconds, like he doesn't give you that, man. Like it's.
I was disappointed in Mike last year, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Mike. I 2 touchdowns for Mike Gesicki. Come on, man. I mean, he blocked me because of that. But look, I love the guy. I want him to be a tight end, Pro Bowl tight end.
He blocked everyone on Twitter.
He blocked everyone.
I love him. I'm not trying to be a critic. Look, the guy's making millions of dollars playing tight end for the Miami Dolphins, and I'm sitting here on a YouTube show with great company. But like at the end of the day, like I'm not saying the guy's garbage. There's plays last year that he had to make. I think there's a couple plays that he should have made last year in clutch situations. I think he started off the season fast, and then after that Baltimore Ravens game, he was on a milk carton. And look, this is a contract year. He's on the franchise tag. Look, someone will pay him. I would like for him to be the young guy that we develop and who could be one of the better tight ends we've had in our franchise. You got Jim Mandich, you got Randy McMichael, Keith Jackson. We got some guys, but Mike Gesicki has the opportunity in front of him. He should see single coverage all season long, and the middle of the field should be open. And Tua can eat in the middle of the field. I've seen it time and time again. I think he benefits, and I think this offense becomes fun, not just competent, but fun. And I think that makes them dangerous. It's going to be a fun season. What the hell am I supposed to do for the next 90 days?
It's the emergence of Hunter Long.
There you go. Whoa.
I like Hunter.
Zuri says, I'm going to be repping Aqua and Orange for that Thursday night game. Bengal fans better be ready. I mean, guys, and another one too, guys. I mean, Durham Smythe made the most of every opportunity he was given last year.
That guy too.
And I mean, there were some reps that looked like he was taking them from Gesicki, that Gesicki could have been executing if he would have been a competent blocker. I mean, Gesicki even looks bigger in the upper body. He does his little tight end camp. You're telling me he didn't get on the horn with Kittle, and Kittle said, "Bro, you're gonna have to block, huh?" Like, even if you're the water boy, you're gonna block in the McDaniel offense.
If the friendship is authentic, and they definitely had to tell him that. Otherwise,
yeah,
ain't no point in even calling the guy, because the guy got to tell you the truth. Like, break the film down.
And-
you suck at this. You got to get better at this to be.
And boys, I keep looking at John Embry, and I keep looking at back what he did with Jordan Cameron, and I see a lot of parallels between Mike Gesicki and what Jordan Cameron was before the concussion started stacking up for Jordan Cameron. Even down to the way they were built was very similar. So I see a lot of parallels, man. I just can't wait for September to get here. Jesus, let's go. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna be back on Phinside the NFL on Saturday for my Eric Azukuma prospect preview, including all 22 and an in-depth scouting report on the player, how I see him being used in year one, and so on and so on. And then I was originally scheduled that for Friday, but tomorrow is a potential knock the Rangers out of the playoffs, go Pens, go game. So I'm going to be locked out, because if the Penguins lose tomorrow at home, I don't see, without Crosby, I don't see how they're winning this series. So I'm going to be locked in on my game tomorrow. What's up?
Miami Heat going to the
Yeah, they won tonight, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh.
They'll go off the Sixers.
They'll go farther than the Panthers. I still say Caps in 7.
Wow.
I still say
Tommy Wilson, your boy, was skating today.
There you go, bro. There you go. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. It was always a pleasure with you guys doing this, man. Always such a good time. I know people enjoyed it. Guys, everyone stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. Until next time, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, baby.